Hi, people.
On today's episode of What Fresh Hell Is This? My cat has an Instagram right now, and if he becomes more popular than me, I'll kill him. And also, I have a very special friend on today's episode, Melissa Ong. We are going to be talking about trauma, processing it, and using it for comedy. We're going to talk about stimulants, anime, just being girlies, and it's a new year. We're in February now, and all I gotta say is fuck New Year's resolutions.
Ugh, Christ. What fresh hell is this?
Hello and welcome to What Fresh Hell Is This with me, Stanzi Potenza. I hope that you have all been having a good week. Something that happened to me this week is that, well, actually, by the time you hear this, it's already been a while. He'll probably have so many more followers by then. I started an Instagram for my cat Binks. I'm sure some of you, at least some of you, must follow him right now. And I was actually pretty resistant to the idea of like starting a page for my pet because in my experience, like following animal accounts and stuff, I mean, everyone dies. All of us die. And I don't like it when I follow an animal and then the animal fucking dies. Like, I used to follow a bunch of rabbit accounts on Instagram because I like rabbits. And, you know, like, they go a couple of months without posting and you're like, yeah, it's fucking dead. That's why you're not posting, is because your pet is dead and there's nothing we can do about it. So I feel bad unfollowing. But also, I don't want to be there when the inevitable, like, oh, well, we had to say goodbye to Mr. fucking Hopper or whatever the fuck you named it. He lived a good 8 years and we're so sad to see him go. I'm like, fuck. Like, I don't like becoming emotionally invested in like an animal that I don't fucking know. But like that's what will happen. You develop a parasocial relationship with an animal online, and now I have to grieve, even though like I had no skin in the game. I had nothing. I had no connection to the. So I don't like dealing with it. I don't like dealing with like unnecessary emotions. All right, so. Anyway, that's why I was resistant to making an account for Binks. But then, you know, the capitalist in me was like, well, you can monetize this. And then I was like, and then the artist in me was like, you know, you can make an animal account funny, right? Like, I've never seen like a really like, I used to follow some that were like kind of stupid. Like they would type it like their dogs were talking in like baby speech, and I was kind of like, that's kind of gross and cringe. But I'm like, oh my god, I can make Binks like a shithead like influencer cat who's like kind of like a scumbag. Like I can make it funny and comedic, and that way like I don't have to be like wholesome about him and like so that's what I'm doing now. And it's, you know, right now he has almost 11,000 followers, so I'm excited to see where his influencer career goes. I think that, yeah, if you own a pet, you know, if you have a child, my advice would just be, you know, exploit it and make as much money as possible. And on that note, I have an amazing guest on today. You know her, you'll love her. ChunkysDead, aka Melissa Ong 69420. She's an amazing person. You might know her from the Step Chickens, which was the cult that she started on TikTok and went viral, or her new cult, the Clitorati. Or you might know her from some of the hilarious songs that she has done with Scumbag Dad. Drink It, Smoke It, Snort It, Shoot It. Don't Kill Yourself, You're Too Sexy. And just like 10 other amazing hits, you know, on that album. One of my closest friends, and I am so excited to welcome to the show Melissa Ong.
Not sure what to do? Just consider.
Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm feeling really mentally ill, actually. Yeah.
I love the honesty. Me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually in like a really bad place in life.
I like sobbed for like 20 minutes before we started recording because I was having like existential dread, and I was like, oh, like we're all going to die, and the planet is also like where like it's gonna get swallowed by the sun one day, and there's just nothing we can do to stop it. And then I finished putting my makeup on, and then took I was like, I'm gonna take some shrooms to microdose on to like get me out of this terrible headspace before I have you on the show. But you know, I love that we're like we're sharing similar energy right now.
Yeah, we're totally in sync. It's like our periods are in sync, but instead our neurons are firing the wrong way together.
Well,
and
yeah.
I just tweeted earlier, I love starting the morning with a healthy, balanced breakfast of caffeine, a cigarette, and 30 milligrams of Adderall.
Yeah. For me, it's Ritalin right now. That's my new. Yeah. Because I told you, I said this before, I defeated Concerta, and now I'm battling Ritalin. And then eventually I'll face the final boss, which is Adderall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like Pokemon.
But I said this the other day because you texted me and you said, I'm sorry for blowing up your phone. I'm manic right now. And I was like, I'm sorry for not responding. I'm depressed right now. And it was like, this is the opposite of when girls' periods are synced up. So I was just waiting for us for like our depressions to hit at the same time so we could be like, oh.
Yeah. Well, here we are. We're in sync. I was actually just venting to myself about existential dread last night while I was drinking and smoking and snorting.
Yes.
It's almost like I wrote a song about that, but it's very akin to my lifestyle. But I was just thinking, I was like, wow, one of the most fucked up things about existential dread is that it's a privilege. like it's just like, wow, like it is a privilege, right? Because it's like you're not you know, in like a life death scenario, you're just there alone with your own thoughts, and you're like, oh cool, I'm not in this life death scenario, so now I can just suffer in a totally different way, in a more artistic, esoteric, brooding way. Yeah,
that was what I was thinking about earlier. I was like, you know what, like the reason that I'm so focused on like the existential like dread right now is because like things are going pretty well.
Yeah.
Things are going pretty well. It's not like you don't have immediate issues, but it's, you know, right now, like, you know, I'm getting along with my family, and like my finances are all right, and like my career is like in a better place than it's ever have been. So I've just been like, all right, yeah, like things are going pretty well.
How can I make myself suffer?
Yeah, like what can I do that will like make me want to die? And thinking about, you know, the things that we don't have control over, like, you know, like the fact that like we just don't know what happens when we all die. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's what I'll focus on right now.
Yeah, my greatest superpower is I can literally take any situation and make it a personal hell for myself. Like I can literally suffer under any circumstances, whether those be bad circumstances or good circumstances. It's like a really good trait to have.
That's like one of the things I love most about you.
Yeah, that's why so many people want to date me. They're just like, hey, do you want to just have like a bad time? Do you want to just have like the worst time ever?
I love that you make me scared about I like
that you remind me of my mortality. You know what I love about you is that whenever I'm around you, I fear death.
I feel so helpless around you. Well, this is great. This is, well, you know, when I tweeted the other day, I was like, oh, I'm starting to have guests on the show. Like, who do you think the first guest is? And I had a lot of people being like, is it the drink it, smoke it, snort it, shoot it girl? But like,
I'm so glad that that's what I'm known for, because honestly, that is all that I am, actually. Like my body, I'm pretty sure, is like made up of just remnants of drugs and Coke Zero.
I love that. It's probably not unlike, you know, when someone goes to France or something and they go through the catacombs and they're able to see like all of the history that was there, all of the death.
I just know that if you know, if there's like a zombie apocalypse and then everyone's just like eating each other and stuff, that people are not gonna want to eat me, because I'm not going to taste good. I'm going to taste bad because I fill my body with bad shit constantly. And it's like, I kind of see it as like, oh, like you're about to take shrooms for the first time, but like the actual mushrooms, not the like LA pills that they have now, where it's like, it's going to taste really bad, but it'll get you high. Like, that's kind of how I imagine my corpse would be in that situation. They'd be like, oh, her corpse, her body's going to taste really bad, but there's a lot of drugs in there and it'll probably get you high.
Yeah. It's I love, one of the things I love about you is that you have no nutritional value, but you will get me fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's actually amazing how I've survived this long, having like never really consumed any nutrients. Like, people are like, how do you survive? And I'm like, I literally just do like, it's just like all like powders and pills and liquids and music and stimulation. Like, I am literally just a stimmer. I think at the end of the day, I'm just a stimmer. Like, I was at this party once, and, you know, people are nice to me at parties because they like me for some reason. And I'm like, I don't know, like, are you stupid? Like, why do you like me? Like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? You know, when people follow me on Twitter, I'm just like, oh, like, you're not doing well. Like, you're not okay. Like, I just know that none of my followers are okay, and like that's why they're following me. But this girl at this party, she was just like, you know, remember, Melissa, you are an ethereal being. And I was like, that is so nice of you to say. And maybe you're an ethereal being, but I am a meat sack trying to stim. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just know I'm a sack of meat. And I stim. That's literally all I do.
That's how, you know, it's like when people say your body is a temple, you know, my body is Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
yeah.
No, my body is a nuclear wasteland combined with a haunted house, like combined with the ashes of the fallen after a mass genocide somewhere else.
Yeah, my body is like ground zero. It's like super bad for your lungs. Yeah. You'll get a lot of health problems like way down the line, like after everything.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I give off like you know, people are like so into like, oh, I give off this energy, I give off this vibe. I know I give off like a nuclear waste vibe. And so that anybody within a 10-mile radius of me is just getting cancer.
I mean, that's like why I was so drawn to you. Like, I could feel my flesh melting off my body, but like, I personally like that.
And you were like, you know what? I think I want to shorten my lifespan. I should hang out with Melissa more.
We will be right back. Do you think it was the trauma that made you funny, or do you think that you were born funny and then your trauma just sort of like drove your comedy in a different direction?
I definitely think it was nature and nurture.
Yes.
I mean, I think that I was always funny because that's what was, I mean, people were laughing at me my whole life.
At you.
No, people were laughing at me my whole life. And now that I like do comedy as a profession, people are still laughing at me. So yeah,
you know,
nothing's changed.
For me too, I think that I think I was always funny, and then childhood trauma stuff, you know, it guides it. Like for me, I think it guided my comedy in just a darker direction naturally. But I could see you definitely being like a funny kid.
Yeah, it's actually so funny how no one ever really recovers from their childhood. Like, it's so funny how no one recovers from their childhood ever.
Well, so you don't watch horror movies, like you?
No, because I don't need to, I'm already scared enough. Like, well, I don't need to feel additional fear.
That's valid.
Yeah, like I don't need to feel more fear. I already feel so much fear. It's like it's kind of like, I'm really cold. Let me go step in a bathtub of ice.
Oh,
like,
of course,
what?
yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
So a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen Smile yet and wants to see Smile. Basically, like, I saw that movie Smile, like the horror movie that came out a few months, like back in October or something, with my friend Roger, and we were like, oh, it's gonna be silly and goofy, so we're just gonna get like fucked up and then see it. But literally the premise of that movie is essentially like, you will never recover from your trauma. And so that movie ended and I was like...
Yeah.
I was like tweaking out for like days after. I was like, okay, cool. Like it was so bleak. And I was like, oh, fun.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think nobody. So when I first started watching Attack on Titan, here's how it was pitched to me. I think I told you this. So how Attack on Titan was pitched to me was like, oh yeah, it's like the new shonen fun anime. Like they were like, oh, it's just like the new, it's like the new shonen, right? So it's like, oh, because you know, when I was a kid, the shonen was like, you know, One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and then you're like, oh, and then it becomes like Bleach or Hunter. So I just thought it was gonna be one of those like typical, like fun, big shonen animes where it's like the Dragon Ball Z Naruto thing, where it's like the good guy and then so that's how it was pitched to me. And then I started watching it. And I kept watching it and I was like, so when is this going to turn positive? When is this going to turn good? And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it was just like tragedy upon tragedy upon tragedy and like shocking horror. And I was just like, oh, so this isn't actually going to, oh, this is like, oh, this is just bad. This is just, and then, but then once you're trapped in it, you're like, well, fuck, I really need to see how this goes.
It's the best.
I really need to see how this goes.
Yeah. It's like, I love it. Obviously, I fucking Levi tattooed on my arm. Like, I obviously love that, anime, but I also started antidepressants after I finished season 3. I was like, I need a little pick me up after this.
Yeah. It's very hard to watch, and
it's bleak.
Yeah,
it's dark. Yeah,
it's very bleak, and it's funny because like Levi, that is like I'll be like, I don't have a type, and I'm like, that's my type, because the type of guy that I've always been into in anime, and I guess maybe in real life, who knows, but particularly in anime, it's always like the black hair, dark, like really smart, really intelligent, kind of brooding. So for example, so it started off with like with L in Death Note. Yeah. That was like my first like huge big anime. Well, actually no. When I was a kid, I was super into Robin and from Teen Titans.
Oh, that's valid.
Yeah, because he was like, like as a kid watching Teen Titans, I was like, yeah, I'm very into Robin. And I was just reading I remember in high school, like before, because now it's so because like now like fan fiction and anime is cool or whatever. But when I was in high school, it wasn't. So I had to like pretend like I wasn't into it. I was just hiding it. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, I'm totally not searching like Robin times Starfire, selecting mature, like smut erotica, and I was just reading fucking Teen Titans fan fiction as a 14-year-old, and being like, this is awesome. And then,
you loser.
And then Death Note. I started watching Death Note and I was like, oh, L, I love L in Death Note. That sort of like weird, dark-haired, smart, like brooding, creepy. And then watching Naruto, I was like, wow, Shikamaru is my favorite character, because he's also like the dark-haired, smart, like, I'm just going to use the power of my intelligence and shadows to manipulate the situation. And then, and then in Attack on Titan, of course, it's fucking Levi. And then I was like, oh, okay, I have a type. And it's this. It's whatever that is. Like, that's my type.
My type in anime is basically just the main character's like hotter, more charismatic mentor. So like Levi, Gojo in like Jujutsu Kaisen, in Bungo Stray Dogs, Dazai.
Yeah, like, of course, it's just, Dazai.
Yeah, it's like the mentor characters. It's like, yeah, I see the potential in this kid, and like, stick with me, kid. I'll teach you my ways. And then it's also like that particular character. It's like, oh, that guy, yeah, he's the most powerful out of all of them. Like Levi's like, oh yeah, he's killed like 40 Titans this year alone. And then like Gojo being like, oh, he's got this this like crazy power, and then like Dazai has like his like own like weird power. But the thing, it's an ability like everyone else's, but it's different. Like no one has his specific ability. It's just like, ooh, he's so different, and he's like not the main character. But he's hotter and like more like charismatic. Yeah. And I have a Gojo and Levi tattoo, and with Demon Slayer I was like, oh, I want like a Tengen like tattoo, and I'm like, no, like I have to stop getting the main character's hotter, more charismatic mentor tattooed onto my body. Where does it end?
But I mean, sometimes if it's the only way you can come, I think that reason justifies anything, including crime. Like I think no, literally, like I have just like always
sorry, officers, I was just trying to come. Let him go.
but also like it's not only that I was trying to come, but it's actually the only way I can come. It's just like, yeah, I actually have a hyper specific kink that involves burning down an entire building full of innocent people, and that's just the only way I can come. Sorry, it's literally the only way.
If you try to argue against it, then you're kink shaming.
Yeah, and
that is criminal.
And you're also racist and sexist, right?
Yeah.
Like I like literally whenever like if I find someone attractive and they don't like me back, I'm just like, oh, so you're racist and sexist. Got it.
Oh,
like,
so you think you hate me?
Yeah, so you hate Asians. That's where I'm taking this.
I love doing that to people I love, like manipulating them and their feelings and stuff. Like you know, someone will like, it'll be like my dad will say something to me and he'll just be like, a disagreement or something, or just being like, we just have a different opinion on something. I'm like, oh, so you hate me and you wish I was never born, and you also think I'm ugly. I used to do that to my ex all the time. He didn't like it, but I thought it was so funny. I'd be like,
no, I love doing that to people I'm intimate with and people that I love. It's just it just feels so good to do.
Yeah, I love manipulating my loved ones and making them fear me. So, speaking of, you know, being terrible human beings, basically manipulating our loved ones, what are some other terrible things you're bringing into the new year?
So in 2023, I have always said I have no desire to be a good person. Like, why do I have to do that? Like, I'm just gonna be average. I'm just gonna be lazy. I'm just gonna be a liar. I'm just gonna be violent. I'm just gonna be a sinner, basically, because that's what I like to do. I love to sin. And so I'm just gonna keep doing more drugs and having more sex. Like everyone's doing dry January or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't relate to that at all. Like, I'm doing very wet January. I'm drinking and coming and crying all of January. I'm doing a drenched January. I had this video where I was like, I'm taking a break from drinking to focus on smoking. And then I was like, I'm actually taking a break from smoking to focus on drinking. And then I was like, you know, I'm taking a break from sobriety in general to focus on both drinking and smoking. And now my new thing in 2023 is I'm taking a break from fucking limiting myself. And so I'm going to drink and smoke and snort and come.
Yeah, by the time first of all, I think that's really admirable. I hate when people people start the new year off to being like, they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this random,
I'm gonna be sober and go to the gym. Like, ew, that's so unrelatable. Get away from me, you weird Christian. Get away from me.
Ew, stop trying to better yourself. That's so annoying and weird of you.
Yeah, like can you just stay in hell with me, please?
You know, it's like, I mean, like we have a new year every year. So I'm like, why are we gonna be like, this year is gonna be different, and I'm gonna start as soon as January hits, I'm gonna do this one thing. Like I'm like, you don't. There's just no reason. And like, I have so many friends that were doing like a dry January that were like, I was gonna do dry January, and I'm like, but why? You know, but why? Unless you feel like you have a problem.
Yeah, no,
why?
I accepted a very long time ago that I am whatever this is, and it is what it is. Like, I have no desire to try to change myself or better myself. I just think that I don't need to do that, and that I can just continue to be a meat stack who loves to stim.
I love that. And I think that there's like even a deeper message there. And this is kind of something I talk about with people all the time, is that like I don't believe in the idea of people being good. You know, people there, you know, there's no such thing as a good person.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's almost like there's this thing called nuance. It's almost like people are complicated and that everything is morally gray and that there's good and bad in everyone and that it's not this linear, like A to B, 1, 2, 3 thing that you see. But stupid people don't understand that. So,
oh, yeah. Those idiots.
Cool.
But, you know, the thing about, you know, I think when you get to a point where you can just accept yourself for who you are, flaws and all, I think that just makes you, I think that is what makes you fundamentally a better person, because I think when people focus too much on being good, they are less willing to accept criticism, because any sort of like criticism against that is then, you know, you're criticizing their character. And if they're a good person, like they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear about like the ways in which they hurt you or hurt others or do something that's like not good, because they've already decided that they're a good person.
I mean,
so they're going to be combative.
Yeah, and it just kind of demonstrates like a lack of self-awareness and a lack of understanding of the human condition and the human experience. Like, essentially, when you're doing that, you're just lying to yourself and to everybody else. Like, you're not being honest. And in this world of like weird, fucked up, chaotic shit, I will always choose what's real over what is like fake and sounds better. Like, I want to actually exist in reality. I want something genuine. I want what's real, because that to me is not only more interesting, but it is also not that bad, right? Like obviously it's really bad, but you know, but when you actually accept reality and you accept things, it allows you to be like, yeah, there's all this really fucked up shit, but there's also a lot of good, beautiful, real shit too. And you only really get to experience that if you accept the full spectrum. Like, I used to feel absolutely nothing. Like, I literally suppressed all of my emotions up until a couple years ago, because I was just in that environment where I thought I had to suppress them. And so I just was, I don't know, I just felt nothing. And now I'm in this thing where it's like, oh my God, I feel everything. Yeah. And so, but I actually prefer this. Like, I know that I can't feel, you know, extreme euphoria and joy and the feeling of inspiration or being touched and being loved, being touched, being touched. I can't feel being molested unless okay, anyway, I can't experience the joys of molestation unless, you know what I mean? Unless I actually accept, you know, the parts that are sad and terrible. For me personally, I realized at a point, like, oh, you can either decide between feeling everything or feeling nothing. Yeah. And I'm choosing to feel everything because I want to fucking come.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the most important thing is coming.
Yeah. That is literally the most important thing, is getting high and coming.
That is a beautiful way, I think, to end this. At the end of the day,
let's finish it. Yeah, it's a great way to finish.
Yeah, we're finishing right now.
The thing about me is I will always finish. You know, like, so you can go to a party, you can be like, hey, this girl fucks, but this girl finishes.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing right now. Right now, we are finishing.
Yeah, we're literally finishing. Let's fucking finish it. Finish her. Gojo, finish her. Finish her.
Thank you for coming on to the podcast, and thank you for coming with me, Melissa.
And thank you for making me come, Stanzi.
It's been my pleasure.
Oh, it's been my pleasure as well. Deeply, sensually, and nuclearly.
Well, worsties, I hope you found that conversation as stimulating as I did. That's actually what every FaceTime between us looks like. And I love every second of it. That being said, that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope that you are liking these guests, and let me know who you would like to see on the podcast, because I am curious. All right, I will see you next week.